Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have to say, the moment I watched Ethan Lovett sneaking around the PCPD and digging into old unsolved case files, I knew something bigger was going on. This didn't feel like a simple break-in or some reckless decision made in the heat of the moment. No sir. It felt like the kind of secret that sits quietly for years before suddenly changing everything. And the more I think about it, the more convinced I become that Ethan is chasing a truth that someone desperately wanted buried. What really caught my attention was how confident Ethan seemed. He wasn't wandering around hoping to stumble onto something useful. He appeared to know exactly where to look and exactly what he wanted. That's the part that keeps sticking with me. In Port Charles, people make mistakes all the time, but this felt calculated. It felt like the work of someone who has been trained to find hidden information and operate in the shadows. That naturally brings me to Holly Sutton. Longtime viewers like me know Holly has never lived an ordinary life. Between her scams, adventures, and connections to the WSB, she spent years moving through a world filled with secrets and dangerous missions. Looking at Ethan now, I can't help wondering if he inherited more than just Holly's charm and determination. Maybe he inherited some of her skills as well. The possibility that Ethan could be connected to a covert operation is becoming harder for me to ignore. When I look back at how quickly he became involved with Delilah Wilson's story, I start to feel like there are missing pieces that haven't been revealed yet. As the old saying goes, something just doesn't pass the smell test. Too many details seem connected, and too many questions remain unanswered. What interests me most is the connection between Ethan, Delilah, and little Phoebe. While Ethan insists that Phoebe should never know he is her biological father, I can't shake the feeling that guilt and responsibility are driving many of his decisions. Sometimes people carry secrets because they believe they're protecting someone. But if years of watching General Hospital have taught me anything, it's that secrets almost always find their way into the light. I was especially struck by Ethan's determination to make sure Phoebe learns about her mother. That tells me this investigation is deeply personal. He isn't looking for money or revenge, he's searching for answers. Somewhere inside those forgotten files may be information about Delilah that could finally explain what really happened and why so much of her story remains a mystery. And then there's the WSB angle. With corruption, double agents, and questionable loyalties becoming more common, I can understand why Ethan might not trust the usual channels. If he believed someone could block his access to the truth, he may have felt he had no choice but to take matters into his own hands. That doesn't make what he did legal, but it certainly makes it easier to understand. The biggest clue, in my opinion, is the fact that Ethan didn't steal a random stack of files. He took a specific envelope. That detail tells me everything. Someone who knows exactly what they're looking for is usually operating with information the rest of us don't have. That's why I believe the secret hidden inside that envelope could be far more explosive than anyone realizes. Right now, I have a feeling we're only seeing the beginning of this story. If Ethan truly uncovered something connected to Delilah's past, Phoebe's future, or even a larger WSB operation, the fallout could spread across Port Charles in ways nobody expects. And honestly, that's exactly the kind of mystery that keeps me coming back to General Hospital week after week. The more I sit and think about Delilah's story, the more troubled I become by the circumstances surrounding the day she was found. After watching General Hospital for so many years, I've learned that when a person's identity seems to disappear without explanation, there is usually more to the story than anyone realizes at first. Delilah wasn't simply a young woman who experienced a tragic medical emergency. At least, that's becoming harder for me to believe. When Brooke Lynn and Chase found her, they had almost no information about who she really was. That detail keeps nagging at me, because most people carry something that connects them to their lives. Whether it's identification, a work badge, a phone, or even a simple receipt, there is usually something that helps tell their story. Yet Delilah seemed to have almost nothing. The only clues eventually connected to her were a few promotional flyers from New York art galleries, and even those weren't found directly with her. To me, that raises an important question. Was she simply robbed, or did someone intentionally remove anything that could identify her? Those possibilities paint two very different pictures. The New York connection is another part of this mystery that I simply can't ignore. Every time new information surfaces, it seems to point back to Delilah's life before Port Charles. That's where Apollo enters the picture, and I have to admit that I find his behavior increasingly suspicious. I'm not necessarily saying that Apollo is responsible for what happened, but it certainly feels like he knows more than he's willing to admit. When Alexis and Ava sought answers, he didn't exactly rush to share everything he knew. In my experience as a longtime viewer, characters usually stay quiet for a reason. Sometimes they're protecting themselves. Sometimes they're protecting someone else. Either way, silence often becomes a clue of its own. I can't shake the feeling that Apollo may know important details about Delilah's past, her relationships, or perhaps even the circumstances that led her to Port Charles in the first place. That's one reason Ethan's actions have started making more sense to me. What I see is not a man acting recklessly for no reason. Instead, I see someone carrying a tremendous amount of guilt. Every decision he makes feels personal. Every risk he takes seems driven by a belief that he somehow failed Delilah when she needed help the most. There are moments in life when people become obsessed with finding answers because they simply cannot forgive themselves for what happened. That's the impression Ethan gives me. Whether he was connected to Delilah through a WSB mission, a personal relationship, or some secret we've yet to learn about, he seems determined to uncover the truth no matter the cost. The official explanation surrounding Delilah's collapse has never felt entirely complete. We know she told Brooklyn and Chase that she passed out because of low blood sugar, and on the surface that sounds believable enough. However, Ethan clearly suspects there is more beneath that explanation. The fact that he was willing to risk everything to obtain evidence from PCPD tells me he believes critical information has either been overlooked or deliberately hidden. People don't usually commit crimes to confirm a simple medical incident. They do it when they believe the truth has been buried. What makes this story even more intriguing is Ethan's belief that Ross Cullum has someone working inside PCPD. If that's true, then suddenly the entire investigation becomes questionable. Every report, every piece of evidence, and every conclusion could potentially be influenced by someone with their own agenda. Port Charles has seen plenty of corruption over the years, so this possibility doesn't seem far-fetched to me at all. In fact, if Ethan truly believes there is an insider protecting secrets, then I can understand why he felt normal procedures could no longer be trusted. That may also explain why he didn't simply review the evidence. Instead, he took a specific envelope. To me, that detail is extremely important. It suggests he already knew what he was looking for. He wasn't searching blindly. He was targeting something specific that he believed could finally reveal what happened to Delilah. Maybe it contains medical records. Maybe it contains witness statements. Perhaps it reveals a hidden connection between Delilah, New York, and the people surrounding her. Whatever is inside, Ethan clearly believes it holds the key to a mystery that has haunted him for a long time. As I look at all these pieces together, I can't help feeling that Delilah's death is connected to something much larger than anyone currently understands. There are too many unanswered questions, too many missing details, and too many people who appear uncomfortable whenever her story comes up. That's why I don't think Ethan's investigation is simply about learning how Delilah died. I think he's trying to understand why so much effort was made to keep the truth hidden, and if he finally succeeds, I have a feeling the answers will expose secrets that reach far beyond Delilah herself. In Port Charles, buried secrets never stay buried forever, and when the truth finally emerges, it often changes everything for everyone involved.